Hello.
Hey CJ, I'm at the bottle shop. I'm looking for a beer for the first episode. Should that be in a beer?
Who's this?
There's a burnt toast stout, a cheese-infused pale ale, and a ghost fart fruit beer.
Oh, can you send me a link for that last one?
What about seaweed?
What about seaweed?
Why is there seaweed in my beer?
I don't know. Why is there seaweed in your beer? Are you eating sushi?
No. That's what it's called.
That's what's called?
The beer with seaweed in it.
Why is there seaweed in your beer?
Exactly.
What?
I'm going to buy it.
I didn't think you even liked sushi.
I like beer cause it is good. I drink beer because I should. If there was a song to sing, I sing it and beer you bring. I drink beer when I am sad, cause the beer it makes me glad. Now there's nothing left to say, so let's go drink beer.
This is me.
And this is me.
And welcome to...
What's my beer again? For the first time.
No, I nearly was surprised when you said that. So there you go. It's the first official episode of What's My Beer Again, and we've entitled it Things That Shouldn't Be in Beer, with a question mark after. And we'll be looking at a couple of beers that have some unusual additives.
Speaking of unusual additives, he says, plotting a masterful segue. Psycho Stick is a band that likes to use unusual additives to their music. Astute listeners will have noticed a new opening theme on the podcast, unless you didn't listen to What's My Age Again, in which case you wouldn't have known, so feel free to ignore that. Anyway, I need to give a shout out to the band Psycho Stick and especially their lead singer Rob, who have allowed us to use their song Beer for our What's My Beer podcast.
Which is very good of them.
Yeah, so for those of you who enjoy heavy metal music with a bit of comedy, I can highly recommend Psycho Stick. Apparently, according to the end of year wrap-up thing from Spotify that I got, I'm in the top 0.0002% of listeners or something, which I think probably puts me in the borderline stalker category if I was in the same country.
Anyway, before we start this, and in case we sound too negative, I think you got to give kudos to the brewers that actually try something different and put some interesting stuff in their beer. So I don't know what we're going to find, but if we don't like it, then at least they tried. And if we do like it, they're geniuses.
Sounds like a large steaming bowl of foreshadowing.
Potentially. Anyway, CJ, for this first episode, what's your beer again?
Technically, it should just be What's My Beer for the first one, and then the next one will be What's My Beer Again.
Fair enough. Should we do that again?
No, since when have I been the one who's counting rules? My beer is a Dreamweaver Black Forest Stout.
Aha.
It's from Bright Brewery. Their tagline is Mountain Crafted. They're located in the northeast of Victoria, essentially on the top of a mountain in a town called Bright. So there wasn't a lot of thought went into the naming of the brewery. But it's Bright seems to be, when you look at the map, it seems to be in the middle of nowhere. Looks like it's on the top of a mountain, but it's alpine country. It's apparently very nice there. I haven't been to Bright.
Okay. I think they have some kind of autumn festival of falling leaves or something in Bright.
Clearly my research level has not changed between What's My Age Again and What's My Beer Again, because I'm not aware of that. They have trees they have photos of trees with leaves.
That's a start.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
From the first flickers of ingenuity, humankind has excelled in civilization-defining inventions and innovations. Lightbulb Moments in Human History takes a playful and perceptive look at how these big ideas have driven humanity's inevitable rise. Be astounded by the accidental invention of writing by Sumerian bookkeepers. Be amazed at how humanity's fixation with beer kickstarted civilization. Lightbulb Moments in Human History is perfect for history buffs, trivia nuts, and anyone seeking a cheeky perspective on our collective journey. It sheds humorous and thought-provoking light on our common heritage. Lightbulb Moments in Human History. You'll never see history the same way again. Now available as an audiobook.
So, what's your beer again?
My beer again is a 4 Pines beer called Why Is There Seaweed in My Beer?
It seems like an appropriate question.
Yes. So I would have thought, until I did a little bit of research, 4 Pines is from Manly,
Yep.
which is what I always believed. It's now just a brew pub at Manly, but in fact, 4 Pines is a much bigger concern than I realised.
Oh.
Okay, so what style of beer is your Bright Brewery Black Forest, whatever it is?
So it says it's a stout. The downside to it is when I looked it up on the Bright Brewery website, it's not actually on there anywhere, which seems slightly concerning. It's a Black Forest Stout.
Now, while we're talking about additives, how are they adding Black Forest esters and artificial flavours, or are they throwing them in bits of cake?
No. I think because they're a sustainable thing, I think they use actual forest.
Chopped down from the Black Forest in Bavaria and then
Yeah.
flown to Australia.
Yeah.
Massively increasing the carbon footprint.
So with beers that they want to make taste like something else, sometimes they'll just stick something. So Moondog did a beer once called Ogden Nash Pash Rash, which was a stout, which was an amazing beer. If anyone from Moondog is listening, please redo it, but try and get it consistent this time. It was a stout, but it had I think they're called red candy or something now, but they're the things that used to be called Redskins.
Oh, okay.
That had their name changed appropriately. One of the reasons they don't do it anymore is that they had to literally sit there and unwrap each one individually and drop it into the vat.
Oh, no wonder it wasn't consistent.
Yeah. So, so I think there was probably at some point somebody going, fuck, I don't care anymore. And either just tip the box in with wrappers on still or go back. Anyway, long story long, some breweries do that. In this case, they didn't. So I don't know why I'm telling you all of that. So in this case, they try and create the flavour with cacao powder, vanilla, cherry puree, lactose, and different types of malt. So different types of malts give different types of flavors. So there's a chocolate malt in there. There's also some rolled oats and a thing called Carafa T3, which I don't know what that is.
But the kind of things that you would make a Black Forest cake out of.
Yeah.
They're like actual flavors rather than artificial.
Yes. And so the reason I said it could fall into the oatmeal stout category is because it's got rolled oats in it. And the reason I say it could fall into the meat stout category. It's because it's got meat in it. The reason it could fall into the milk stout category is it's got lactose in it. So milk stout doesn't have milk in it, it has lactose, among other things. And what style of beer is your beer?
Why is there seaweed in my beer is a Tassie pilsner. Apparently with Tassie hops, which is why it's a Tassie pilsner. But it has nori seaweed added to it, which is the added additive that I'm a bit dubious about.
Right.
Now, I did a little bit of research, not much, but I just Googled it and saw what they said. In fact, I ended up having to go on LinkedIn. It was actually really hard to find out why they put seaweed in it.
Somebody was probably eating sushi when they were brewing it. And
apparently, it was to celebrate the brilliant work of a company called Sea Forest, who have introduced a seaweed supplement to the cattle feed to reduce their methane emissions by 98%. And it's like, well, what's that got to do with beer? I don't know.
Well, because 4 pints beer tastes like shit, which is where the methane comes in.
Well, apparently seaweed stops cattle farting.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what that's got to do with beer, but hey, I suppose I would just thought, well, we'll use some seaweed and see what it tastes like. But yeah, that's what that is. It's 4% alcohol, so it's not a very high alcohol one. And it's a limited release, only available at Dan Murphy's and BWS.
Oh, right. Mine's a 5.6%. I didn't know where to get it, aside from I bought it from a place called Cloud Wine in South Melbourne. Shout out to Cloud Wine in South Melbourne. You can't get it from Bright because it's not on their website, but you can get it from Dan Murphy's.
So let's go drink beer.
It's time for beer. Do you want to crack open yours and we'll see what it sounds like?
Okay, so here we go.
It's a pretty solid open.
Pretty solid open. And here we go. Okay.
Anybody's listening, they're now going, hey, what are you listening to? What's my beer again? What are they doing now? I don't know. It sounds like they're pissing in a bucket.
It's an ASMR and pouring beer. we might get a following in that world. So, should we talk about it, or do you want to pour yours first?
No, tell us about yours. Doesn't seem to have much of a head.
Doesn't have much of a head at all, in fact.
Neither does the beer.
It looks a bit cloudy. Not as cloudy as the hazy I was drinking earlier, but...
Right. Looks like it's been through you already.
It does a little bit. It's got that urine colour.
That's what I'm looking for at a beer. All right, I'll do mine. Also sounded like a beer can opening.
Yeah.
Glug, glug, glug.
It did.
Oh, actually, you can smell the black foresty smell. This is, it's got fuck all head on it. So it's quite dark. I wouldn't want to put it next to a glass of like Pepsi or something because it'd be easy to get mixed up, I think. Initial thoughts from Scott on the Seaweed beer. Either Scott's just shit himself or he's not a fan.
Okay, firstly, I need to say two things. I will out myself and say that I did try a can of this about a week ago,
Right.
and wasn't impressed at the time. I've been dreading having to drink it again.
Right.
This second glass, my first impression was it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's saltier than I would expect a beer to be. It's got that you can definitely taste that the seaweed has definitely given it a more of a salty thing. I can't taste anything else in it. Now, sometimes, like I'm not very good at tasting stuff in beer, but if I'm drinking, say, a hazy, I can taste notes of this and that. All the things they say, I can pick it up. But I mean, they're saying flavors and aromas of guava and lychee from the hops are boosted by the salinity by the addition of seaweed for a fruity umami combo. Now, it just tastes like salty beer to me. What I will give it is it's not as bad as I remember.
All right, I think that's the tag Scott's tagline for 4 Pines. Why is there seaweed in my beer? It's not as bad as I remembered.
Okay, so your turn.
I can't really taste the cherry. I can taste the cacao. Can't taste any vanilla. The chocolate malt comes through quite a bit. It's got a little bit of a chemically taste, which it kind of makes it realistic for a Black Forest cake. They'll always taste quite chemically. It's a little bit more bitter than I expected. I can't really taste the vanilla or the cherry at all. It's more chocolate and cacao.
So if someone just gave you that and said, what do you think it tastes like, you wouldn't have said Black Forest.
No, I would have said Coke that's been used to clean an engine block.
Excellent. I think if someone had given me this without saying it had seaweed in it, I would never have picked up that it had seaweed in it. I wouldn't have. So it's not that obvious.
No, you would have just said, what the fuck's wrong with this beer?
Well, it just tastes a little salty. Put it this way. If I went to a pub and had one, I would drink it, but I wouldn't buy. I would buy something else next time I went to the bar.
Right.
But I now have 2 cans of it left, which I will end up drinking because it's actually not, as I said, not as bad as I thought.
See if it gets less worse as you go.
The more I drink, the better it gets.
Save it as an end of night beer when you can't really taste anything.
Yes.
The flavour of this hangs on.
It keeps you hanging on.
Yeah, like it's been a while since I've had a sip of it, and I can still taste it.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit astringent is the word that comes to mind, but I don't know whether that's the correct word or not.
So do we want to get into the backstory of the brewery? Because that would enlighten everyone. Okay, so 4 Pines was born following a post-surf chat by a father and son, Jaron Mitchell and his dad, Steve. And they originally opened their microbrewery at Manly in 2006. Now, the reason they call it 4 Pines is because Manly's famous for its Norfolk Island pines, but during World War II, they cut 4 of them down to make a gun emplacement. So the beer is named for the trees that were cut down to make way for the gun emplacement.
All right.
Fun fact, in 2010, the company was in partnership with a space engineering firm working on developing the first space-certified beer.
Oh, okay.
I don't know whether they succeeded or not.
Take that as a no then.
I can't imagine that NASA wants their astronauts getting pissed on the ISS.
It would be the
PISS.
Yeah, I was trying to be cleverer and think of a word that started with P that I could have added to the front of it.
The thing I didn't know, and I found in my research, was in 2017, 4 Pines was purchased by Anheuser-Busch.
That explains a lot.
And then was being distributed by Carlton United Breweries until CUB was sold to Asahi in 2019.
Right.
So, yes, even though its location I thought was Manly, God knows where they brew all the beer now. It's probably
chunks of it in CUB down here.
Yeah.
That explains a lot because 4 Pines I quite liked when it first came out. And then at some point I went, this is shit. And 4 Pines has the distinction of being the only beer in a pub that I've ever said, you can take this back.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the only beer that forced CJ to be a Karen.
Notwithstanding, I have had sink pours at home. But, that's the only one that I've actually ever sent back in a pub and said, this is terrible. So that explains it now. I just had written them off because that's what I do with, like, things and people and stuff. Yeah. So, it's good to know that there was a reason then.
Yeah, there was definitely a reason. things you can do at the brewery. Well, I don't know what you can do at the brewery that they brew it all now, but if you were going to the brew pub in Manly, you could go surfing or catch the ferry across Sydney Harbour to Circular Quay.
That's a big pub.
Well, it's just a little brew pub down at...
Oh, so you don't go surfing or catch a ferry in the pub?
Not in the pub,
Right.
no, but you're from the pub.
Ah, okay, right.
From the pub, you can go and do that. Basically, it's just there's not much you can do there other than walk in and drink beer and eat food.
Right.
But you can go from there and drown after having drunk too much to be able to swim.
If you were going there, I'd probably choose the drowning beforehand. Anyway, shout out to 4 Pines. So, Bright Brewery. Bright Brewery aren't massive sellouts and aren't owned by a huge commercial conglomerate. Not there's anything wrong with huge commercial conglomerates. I've worked for many of them in my career. So, Bright Brewery, they're an interesting brewery. They were open in 2006, same as 4 Pines. Didn't sell out to a large conglomerate. Good work. And they're an interesting brewery as well because I remember when they first started out and they were kind of a bit ordinary. They just did some fairly basic stuff. And then at some point, probably in the last 8 or 9 years, they started to go into some more interesting stuff, and now they've got quite a lot of really nice beers. But interestingly, the first incarnation of Bright Brewery was during the Gold Rush in 1876.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it operated until 1916 and won numerous awards and was famous apparently for its ale, porter, and fruit cordials.
Fruit cordials? Well, that's interesting.
So it had something for all the family.
Get the young ones in early,
Yeah.
I say.
Yeah, well, because like in 1876, they're like probably not living past 20 anyway, so what does it matter? Yeah, so it opened again in 2006. Pretty confident it probably wasn't the original owners that reopened it. But they went from pretty ordinary to quite broad and experimental. And they do a weekend every year called Darker Days, which is essentially just stouts. They were a What's My Beer Again in one of the episodes of What's My Age Again for their beer Stubborn, which was a stout that they did that used to be called Stubborn Russian until
yes,
about a year and a bit ago. So it's a very nice beer. Their big thing is they're mountain crafted, not like Deliverance, I don't think. But the other thing about them is that I think is pretty cool is that they're very values based. So their values are that they're authentic, sustainable, and active. They're actually really big on sustainability. They run everything from solar power. They utilize water from the alpine water from the mountains around them.
Recycled toilet water.
If you're a lawyer representing Bright Brewery, you can contact Scott at lightbulbmoments@gmail.com.
I am not seriously suggesting that they do that.
They're not Tsingtao.
Let's face it. That's a selling point for Tsingtao.
Yeah, so they're very big on solar brewing. They're kind of all about the environment and all about doing the right thing and all that sort of shit.
Okay.
Yeah. Bright itself is, aside from appearing to be in the middle of nowhere, if you visit there, you can do things like go for a canyon walk, go to a market by the river, go to the river pool and splash park, go to Lookout, there's a rail trail, a mystic park, scenic drives, and the mountains, like good ski, snowy mountains, about 90 minutes away.
I want to know what a mystic park is. Garden gnomes or something in there?
I think it might just be a park called Mystic Park, because you can go mountain biking or paragliding.
Okay, what about merch? Is there much in the way of merch?
A shit ton of merch for Bright Brewery, and in fact, I own 2 Bright Brewery t-shirts already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and have for a while. I don't have a Bright Brewery glass because I haven't been to Bright Brewery to pilfer one to add to my large stolen beer glass collection.
Okay, I think you're outing yourself for way too much here.
Well, I have stolen beer glasses, but I also have purchased beer glasses.
And he's not going to say which ones are stolen and which ones are purchased.
Mostly stolen. Yeah, but I don't have if anyone from Bright Brewery is listening and you're not suing us over Scott's sewage comment, feel free to send me a glass.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, 4 Pines, they have the usual hats, T-shirts, coolers, nothing super exciting.
Matches their beer.
Oh, I didn't say that. But...
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Colin Calls the Help Desk is a hilarious and relatable take on the absurdities of office life. Follow Colin the Koala, hold questions, as he dives into his first job and meets Graham, a cynical employee who's just hanging out for redundancy, Bob, his continually disorganised boss, and Brenda, who seems to spend most of her time telling everyone how busy she is.
So I have questions.
That's good. Questions are good.
One of my questions is, okay, you've said the main character is Colin the Koala. So is the Koala a nickname like Nicky the Llama or Oblong Doug?
Nope. Colin the Koala is 100% koala.
But aren't koalas generally naked, drunk, and spend all their time sleeping or catching chlamydia?
No, you're thinking of Brian from accounting.
Did you go to university to become a writer?
No, I didn't. I don't have any formal qualifications. You see what I did there?
But
Koala. It's Colin the koala. No formal writing qualifications. That's the kind of high-level, highbrow humour that you'll find in Colin Calls the Help Desk. Actually, seriously, it is better than that. So if you've available on Amazon in all the backs, hardback, like anybody's buying a hardback except for me. Paperback and
Razorback?
yes, it's the disadvantage to the Razorback version is that when you
Seaweed!
when it arrives, it charges through your lounge room at about 25 kilometers an hour and gores you to death before you get to read it. So it's not one of the best-selling versions, I'll have to say. But yes, all versions available on the Amazon. I'd love to hear your reviews. But it's always important to remember...
Leave a 5 oink review.
I'm writing this review from my hospital bed. I enjoyed Colin Calls the Help Desk.
I slightly regret the Razorback edition.
Once my groin heals, I'll be looking forward to book 2.
In paperback.
4.5 stars. It lost 0.5 of a star because delivery was late.
But when it came, it really came.
Colin Calls the Help Desk. Available on Amazon.
And now introducing our new segment about the history, geography, and science of beer.
Hey, I've got a great title for this. You ready?
Yeah? Yep.
Going back to Boozix.
Sorry?
Boozix.
I don't get it.
Back to basics. Boozix. Boozix. And basics.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Alrighty then.
So I want to concentrate on one historical additive because there's been obviously many. I did a bit of research and there was a lot of stuff that's been in beer, obviously.
Historical research is your thing.
Now this additive is a little something called henbane.
Hang on. I'm pretty sure that's the Chicken Run version of the second Batman movie.
It's also known as stinking nightshade. A poisonous plant in the same family as deadly nightshade.
It's the less popular younger brother. Can I come with you? No, Stinky, you can't.
Well, deadly. Historically, henbane was used in combination with other plants as an anesthetic potion and for its psychoactive properties in magic brews.
Ooh.
Okay.
Now,
as evidence of the magic brews thing, in the year 1250, a writer called Albertus Magnus reported that necromancers used henbane to invoke the souls of the dead and demons.
I'm just surprised that this hasn't come out in craft brewing in the last 2 years.
Well, wait for it.
Okay.
While the jury's out on whether it can summon the dead, henbane does contain chemicals that relax the muscles of the lining of the digestive tract. So I'm not quite sure whether that's going to have a laxative effect or chime in with our theme of farting. I'm not quite sure.
Pretty sure that's a Pornhub channel as well.
But henbane might also relieve muscle tremors and have a calming effect.
So it raises the dead, makes you shit, but makes you calm about it. If you put it together, it makes sense, because if you get somebody who's a necromancer going, I'm raising the dead, shit, I've just shit myself, that's okay, I don't mind.
But henbane is also a narcotic and can lead to convulsions, insanity, and death.
Right. So this is is there anything henbane can't do?
Now, researchers have recently discovered traces of henbane in fragments of stoneware that contained a honey-flavoured beer from the UK that dated to the 3rd millennium BC. So 4,000 years ago, they were brewing honey-flavoured beer with henbane.
Right, thank you.
But 3,000 years later, British brewers were still using henbane. There was a medieval magical text that had the following recipe for a sleep potion. Add radish, hemlock, wormwood, henbane, pound all the plants, place in ale, and let it stand one night. If you drink that, you fall asleep.
I bet you do. You'd be tired out from pounding the
Now,
plant.
I'm not quite sure if these guys would. That sounds like a euphemism.
Boom, boom.
I'm not quite sure what these guys were drinking beer to get pissed or stoned at
Kill themselves.
the same time, or kill themselves. Might have been a suicide pact. I don't know. But it was used for a very long time.
If henbane can not only kill you, it can bring you back from the dead.
But you have to have somebody else to drink the henbane. You'd need a necromancer to help you do it.
Right, okay. It seems like it's getting into a bit of a vicious circle. Drink this, I've died. Here, drink this, I'll resurrect you. Oh, I've died. Drink this, I need to resurrect you.
Well, there's someone there at the end. So, well, possibly it means a henbane wasn't used in beer for its psychedelic effects, but its uses in traditional medicine as well. Now, don't try this at home. Homebrewers wanting to attempt this recipe should note that without knowing the proper quantities, such a recipe could easily turn into a fatal drink, which is probably why the microbreweries haven't introduced a henbane imperial stout or anything like that.
I don't know. Some of them run pretty loose. How much do we need to put in? I don't know. Put in a kilo, see what happens. Hey, Matt, the intern, come here. Taste this. Okay, less than a kilo.
But can you buy henbane? Can you buy henbane? Okay. Rare herbs. Black henbane has a strong and unpleasant smell used by old world black magic practitioners. One of the original ingredients for medieval witches' brew. The leaf traditionally used as a remedy for asthma, insomnia, and pain, while the seeds were considered an aphrodisiac.
Yeah. Well, it was a remedy for those things because it would kill you.
Well, it's just probably, I guess if it's an aphrodisiac, also it counteracts the effects of brewer's droop. So, the dead are rising! This herb is extremely toxic and can be fatally poisonous. Do not take internally.
Fatally poisonous as opposed to non-fatally poisonous.
So, I think that could be the reason why that microbrewers haven't decided that henbane is something they'd like to try in their beers.
Interesting. It does sound though as though that it would be something that would be fairly easy to get onto social media with a sudden following of big beer is keeping the henbane away from us.
I reckon you could get a TikTok trend of, watch me drink this henbane beer. Oh, shit.
My digestive tract's open. Quick, give me a Tide Pod. What's your little brother doing here? Get out of here, Stinky.
So that's the history of the additive henbane in beer. So just be glad we only got Black Forest and Seaweed in our beer today.
Seaweed. But that could be a good advertising thing. Now with no henbane.
Henbane free. So I've nearly finished my can, and I've been kind of absent-mindedly drinking it while we've been talking. Wasn't registering as I was drinking it, so it can't be too bad. But then I sort of burped, and it tasted like vomit. So not so happy about that, but that sort of thing happening afterwards.
Why is there seaweed in my beer? If you're on the market for a vomity aftertaste,
Have I got the beer for you? How are you feeling about your Black Forest Stout?
Stout is famously supposed to get better the warmer it gets. Or it certainly, if it doesn't get better, the taste changes.
Right.
Initially, I did think it was a little bit watery and there wasn't a great deal of taste. And I think that's because there was a whole bunch of sediment, like it had all sunk to the bottom.
Right.
So now I've put the rest of the can in here. It's not quite a film across the top, but it's there's bits. There's bits, which is not in a bad way, and it's kind of left a quite dirty ring around the glass. You know, like when you have a bath.
You're not selling this. You're not selling this at all.
There's possibly a little bit of grit at the bottom. Anyway, but taste-wise, it's a little less astringent and start to taste a little bit of the cherry. So I think all the cherries it just sunk to the bottom. Handy tip, kids, if you're getting the Black Forest Stout, give it a good shake before you open it to make sure all the sediment gets from the bottom. So it's warmed up. It's a little better.
Fair enough.
It's probably not that much of a mystery why it doesn't have pride of place on their website. Is the simplest way to say it. It's all right. You can see how people would like it.
So the name, do you think the name is clever or not, or what?
Because I couldn't find anything on their website to see why it was called Dreamweaver.
It contains henbane.
Deathweaver. And Black Forest Stout is not really that clever. It's kind of what it says on the tin.
With the why is there seaweed in my beer? It's actually the reason I bought the can. I saw that on there and I went, you know what? There must be a good reason there's seaweed in this beer. It can't be bad. As much as you're not a fan of 4 Pines, I don't mind 4 Pines beer.
We've established your level of beer acceptance in previous What's My Beer Again segment.
That is true. The name of the beer was also the question I was asking after I drank it. Why is there seaweed in my beer?
I think a better name for it might be, why the fuck am I drinking this?
And to be honest, despite all the things I've read, they don't really answer the question why the seaweed in the beer.
Struggling to see a better link than we're honouring a company that feeds seaweed to cattle.
Well, why didn't they just put bits of meat in there?
Why is there cattle in my beer? We've carbonated this batch with cow methane.
It's good for the environment and it counteracts the stinky nightshade.
I'm desperately fighting the urge to have Stinky Nightshade as like a recurring Dickie Knee character.
CJ, it's Stinky Nightshade here. So, as far as the packaging goes, as somebody who has a graphic arts background, I thought it was actually crap packaging. Basically, you can't really see it. I might try to take another picture to put it on the Facebook page. But there's sort of some seaweed growing under the water, and then there's a cow eating the seaweed underwater. Then the cow is farting, and in the fart bubble, there's a CH4 and there's an arrow downwards. They're trying to graphically show that cows eating seaweed lowers the greenhouse gases in their farts, but it really doesn't work.
Well, technically, that would make sense because they're drowning, so
Yes.
they're not farting.
Well, true.
That makes perfect sense.
I will take a picture of that to put it up on the Facebook page.
Okay. Who doesn't want a picture of a...
Drowning, farting cow.
Just as a side note, that'd be a great name for a punk band. Now opening for the Rolling Stones, Drowning Farting Cow. There's no drowning farting cows on the Bright Brewery one. It's a purple can with a black top, whereas usually their kind of usual colours are orange. Like just a purpley version of their usual logo. It's not very exciting at all. Their big thing is that it's purple.
Could there be anything on your can that could be used as a Tinder profile?
Could I use part of the description as a Tinder profile? Yes, I would go with, I like my women like I like my beer. Rich, decadent, and delicious.
Okay, I got to say, I'm drawing a bit of a long bow with this, but I think potentially I could attract a woman who was into saving the planet by saying animals whose diet contains 0.2% sea forest seaweed will have methane reductions of up to 98%. How about a root?
I'm concerned it might be too subtle. You could go with, if in past relationships you've been concerned about your boyfriend farting too much, I'm drinking Why Is There Seaweed in My Beer?
I'm doing my part to reduce my greenhouse emissions.
Hi, my name's Scott, searching for a farting cow.
Now, ratings.
Yes.
How would you rate your beer?
Well, starting with our let's try and take some of this seriously component, actually to introduce this segment. We're looking at Untapped, which is a website where people go, I'm drinking this beer, and they kind of check themselves in. It's like social media for alcoholics. Not to say too much, but as a sidebar to Untapped, when I was on holiday in New Zealand, there's a pub in New Zealand called Smithies or Smiths or something in Queenstown. Between me and the person I was with, we managed to drink 22 beers.
Shit.
Over quite a long period of time. Not like days, but like over about 8 hours. And for some reason, I don't know why, that was the day that our livers went, I'm all in. Bring it on. Do your worst. And so we drank 22 pints of beer and like craft beer. So there was some that were quite reasonable things and were still reasonably okay, which made no sense at all from a biological or psychological perspective. But anyway, the reason I'm telling you this story is we were putting all of the drinks into Untapped, and Untapped came up with a warning that said, Look, we think that you might be going a bit overboard. You should really think about going home. So the untapped rating, there's only 93 ratings for it, and the untapped rating is 3.56
Okay.
out of 5, which is too bad. My rating, I'd probably give it 3.5 sandhills.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, well, the untapped rating on why is there seaweed in my beer, there was actually 242 ratings on this, so it inspired some people to rate it. It came in at 3.24.
What?
Yeah, came in relatively high considering. So 3.24 out of 5. But I would rate it half a chewed sushi out of 5. And the next question is, would I drink it again? And my answer is shit no.
Well, unfortunately, you've still got 2 cans of it to go. So.
Well, I will drink those, but I will never buy it again. Having said that, it's a limited thing. It's not meant to be for mass production, and I don't think it's going to ever be popular, so I don't think it matters. Yeah. But if you're going to drink a 4 pints beer, this is not the one to drink. And right. I know that you would not want to drink a 4 pints beer at all, but hey, if you're going to choose one, don't choose this one.
There's so many taglines for this. 4 pints. If you're going to choose one, don't choose this one.
Do you like that vomity aftertaste?
So would I drink this again? Probably not. It was interesting to try, but getting down to the bottom, it's a little too gritty.
Ultimately unsatisfying.
Yeah, I think so. It's a good attempt. Good on you for trying.
And same with this. I do think it's an interesting idea to try seaweed. The reason I bought it was I thought, well, hey, it might work. If I'd just gone, it's got seaweed and it's going to taste like shit, I wouldn't have bought it. So I was like, seaweed, okay, I can see how that might work. Clearly, if 342 people have rated it 3.24, it's not hated. Like I literally would have rated it 2, mate. But no, and like when I scrolled down the page, there was solid 3s and a few 4s.
Yeah.
So there was very, very rarely was someone rating it lower than 3.
Yeah. So there's lots of stupid people out there.
Apparently.
Cut that out. It's the off chance that somebody's listening going, hey, I like that.
CJ thinks you're stupid. So that's it for this first episode of What's My Beer Again?
We've identified that you shouldn't put seaweed in beer.
Oh, no, we should definitely not do that.
You shouldn't let Stinky Nightshade hang around with you.
No, definitely don't do that either.
Yeah, give him $4 and send him off to the movies, I think is what they do. And shout out to Bright Brewery for being in a nice area and having a good shot at Black Forest Stout.
Fair enough.
Not for me, I will say. Would I drink it again? Probably not. But I will stick with your Stubborn and MIA and some of your other core ranges. Feel free to keep bringing out the barrel-aged Stubborns, though.
And from my point of view, I think I would prefer...
Never drink it again.
The Qingdao laced with urine and the... why is there seaweed in my beer again? But that's just a personal preference.
So if you're 4 Pines legal representative, feel free to contact Scott at the usual email address.
Well, that's it for our first official episode of What's My Beer Again. Do you have a takeaway from our look into things that maybe shouldn't be in beer?
I'll have a 4-pack of the Dreamweaver Black Forest and a case of the Ghost Fart fruit beer to take away, thanks.
No, from the podcast.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Go on.
I regret my decision to buy a 4-pack of beer with seaweed in it.
You should probably stop eating sushi when you're drinking then.
My second takeaway is don't drink beer with henbane in it.
Good call, or probably any paltry Batman villain-related alcohol. Could I get one of those Duck Riddler Porters, thanks?
I think I'll stick to drinking beer for refreshment and for the taste, rather than for something to be worshipped.
I don't worship beer.
Well, why do you drink beer then?
I'm just always assumed it's because I'm an alcoholic.
If you were just an alcoholic, you'd drink the cheapest beer possible.
Yeah, good point. Well, maybe it's just to get away from the world and feel better about myself then.
I think that's still describing an alcoholic.
Well, that maybe explains why I buy better beers, though. Anyway, moving on. Another call out to Psycho Stick for allowing us to use their song Beer for our theme. Check them out on your favourite streaming platform.
And make sure to check out the What's My Beer Again feed on Facebook and Instagram. And
as always, remember, if you enjoyed this podcast, well, you should probably consult a medical professional, but then after that, come back, follow, rate, review, and share us with your friends. And then do the same with our podcast.
Say good night, CJ.
Good night, CJ.
What's My Beer Again is brought to you by Lightbulb Moments in Human History, From Cave to Colosseum, which is available in ebook, paperback and audiobook, wherever good books are sold.
And by Colin Calls the Help Desk, available in ebook, Fbook, Gbook, and Hbook, available where all good Amazon books are, or where Colin Calls the Help Desk is sold.
You're an idiot.
It's a good book, though. Please remember that What's My Beer Again is a satirical podcast, and the sort of shit that we talk about and some of the things we say on here shouldn't be taken as any kind of legal thing. So in other words, don't sue us, please.
Yeah, definitely not giving you advice on how to live your lives.
No, in fact, if you're looking at us to give you advice on how to live your lives, you've got far bigger problems than
Absolutely.
we could. We should probably also point out, like the gambling thing of if gambling's a problem for you, bet you $50 I can make you stop. Is that in no way is this podcast intended to encourage people to drink to excess or drink and do stupid things.
Absolutely not. That's our job.
I think we're nailing that. And shout out to Psycho Stick for letting us use their song Beer.
See
See ya.
Well, good luck cutting all that together.